Hello again, everybody. Welcome to our Bible study. Today we are in Psalm 99. We are almost to 100. That'll be exciting to finally get over the 2/3 mark. But Psalm 99 today, and our PDF, of course, is available on the website for free. Psalm 99, the author is not named, and I don't have any New Testament references for today. As we look down at our themes section, the first one, worship and exalt the Lord who sits enthroned in heaven. Number 2, God's righteousness and his mercy were shown in his dealings with specifically Moses, Aaron, and Samuel, who are guys that we've read about in books like Exodus and Numbers and the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel. And then 2 words to define here. The first one is in verse 1, and that's cherubim. Cherubim is actually a plural of cherub. Cherubim are winged heavenly beings that dwell with God. We read about them in 1 Kings chapter 6, where Solomon constructed 2 images of cherubim. Each were 10 cubits tall, or about 15 feet. What would that be? 5 meters, roughly? 4.5. And their wings spread out over the Ark of the Covenant in the temple's most holy place. So if you want to know more about that, check out our 1 Kings study. We have 5-minute studies through that as well. And then we're going to talk about God's holy mountain, which is in verse 9. And this refers to Jerusalem, which was built on a hill or a mountain, and the temple was there, and so is God's holy mountain. Okay, so now our outline. We have 9 verses to cover. There are 9 verses in chapter 99. As was the case with some of the psalms we've looked at before this is a psalm of worship, and I've titled it, The Lord is Holy, a psalm of worship. These last couple psalms have been very short in terms of their length, but very powerful in the sentiments that they express of worship towards God. So kind of a similar thing here. The psalm describes the Lord reigning as king over all the earth, and the writer says that the inhabitants of the earth should tremble at God's greatness. God is pictured as sitting on the cherubim. Now this has kind of could have a reference to the physical world, but also the spiritual world. In a physical sense, God's presence rested in the most holy place by the Ark of the Covenant in the temple, near the images of cherubim that Solomon had constructed within the most holy place. Now, in a spiritual sense, in the spiritual world, God's throne is obviously in the midst of the cherubim, in that they are heavenly beings surrounding him and serving him. The Lord ruled over Jerusalem, or Zion, and the psalmist instructed all the people to praise his awesome and his great name. Unlike a lot of lesser kings of the earth, God was a good king who loved the virtues of equity, justice, and righteousness, and we've seen this theme a lot in the last couple of Psalms. He's not a king who's corrupted by power, by his reign, like so many other rulers on the earth. His virtuous reign was another reason that he was worthy of worship, and the psalmist wrote, quote, "Exalt the Lord our God, worship at his footstool, holy is he," in verse 5. The psalmist brought to mind then 3 eminent figures from Israelite history to show that the greatest among the people of Israel were men who honored the Lord and respected his holiness. God's holiness was displayed through Moses, through Aaron, and Samuel. Those are 3 guys. God's holiness was displayed through them in his mercy that he showed to them, in the statutes of the laws, the commands that he gave to them, and even in the discipline that he imposed on them when they sinned. Because although they were great men, they certainly were not sinless men. Those who were the contemporaries of the psalmist, who were hearing the words of this psalm, would do well to follow the examples that were set by these 3 men and to honor the Lord in the way that they did. And so the psalm concludes in verse 9, "Exalt the Lord our God and worship at his holy mountain, for the Lord our God is holy." So those are the 9 verses of Psalm 99. Let's think about our application now. The way that you live your life is going to leave a legacy for those who come after you. Now, maybe your legacy won't be as widely known as that of someone like Moses or Aaron or Samuel, but there will absolutely be people in the future who will be affected by the way that you live your life in the example that you leave. Your children, your grandchildren, the people in your church, your acquaintances, the people you model Jesus to, all of these are impacted by their experiences with you. And you never know just how a person can be impacted, even with the slightest encounter with you. You may do something that really touches them or really impacts them. Maybe it's only a short amount of time. You never know. God is controlling all of these things and doing amazing things through the interactions that we have. So when you think about your life, think of it as if you are laying a foundation for others who are going to come after you. Because whether you like it or not, that's exactly what you're doing. You have the ability to affect the future by the life that you live in the present. So think about how you can live your life now so that those 2, 3, 4, 5 generations in the future will have a better chance to know God and to make it to heaven.